All right, welcome, folks, to today's observing tutorial for whatever this thing is. Counter-Strike. That's the game we're playing today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm me. I don't know why I'm starting this late to YouTube video. It's super weird. I'm probably gonna archive this somewhere, but this is way more convenient. So let's do this. All right. So first thing to start is pages. What do you need? So important things you need. Not this page. That's not what you need. You need this. Sliggy observing this one. All right. So this is Sliggy. He was formerly an observer for this game. He is now in the observer. He's now a coach for Team Liquid's Valorant team, but he formerly was an observer. There's two schools of thoughts you could do. You could do the Sliggy observer config. You could do the Misty observer config. I am a fan of the pause the music. I'm a fan of the Misty config. I'm gonna be running through the Misty config today. There's a Reddit post for that that I will find. This Reddit post that I will post in the chat here. It has everything. It does not have Ancient. Ancient's the only one it doesn't have. Ancient's a new map. It's really difficult to find Ancient. This is the wrong. This is 3 years ago. There's a fourth version of this. Here we go. There's a fourth version of this. It's this one. This is the important one. It's got all the new maps on it, everything including Train. It does not have Ancient on it. Down the whole pack, follow the instructions. This is the important part. You need to have a number pad for the good majority of this because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier to do. All right, let's start. So I'm going to just watch a match I played in. Let's take this match I won in because why not? So let's go over basics of observing, right? There's going to be like actual fundamentals of how do you do observing, right? And then there's also going to be how do you do observing well. And there's a difference, right? A couple of years ago we had the PGL major in Krakow, say like 3 or 4. It's 2017 major, I think. A lot of years ago we had the PGL major, and they had to fly better observers out for it because the observing was so terrible. So a lot of basically anyone can observe. I mean, it's pressing a couple buttons, right? But actually observing correctly is really difficult. So basics of observing are you press 1 through 0 on your keyboard. So let me pull my keyboard up. You press these buttons on your keyboard. It's the 1 through 0 keys, and those are going to relate to characters on your radar. So we'll get into this game, and I will explain what I mean. Okay. So let's take a look at let's start here, right? So right now, Salef and Cyvalky. Can I just mute everyone? Here we go. That's like literally a trillion times easier. Okay, so Banjo is number one, as you can see from. Oh, you guys can't see. That's a lull. Uh, what can I not move? What can I move? I can turn that off. Move that, and I can move that to like yonder. Good enough. We'll turn that off. All right, we'll go with this. So basically, in the top left of each person's name on the left side, you can see the little number on them, or on the top right side for the terrorist. So by pressing that number, you will go to that person's perspective. So we're on Canary, we're on Calf now we're on Cat, now we're on myself, we're on Dalmatian, right? Super easy, super simple. If you want a third person view of them, you press shift while you go to them. It's gonna get you a third person angle, the closest like normal free cam that goes from that point. We're gonna exec some stuff first. So when we observe CSC, we have a CSC observer exec. I'm not gonna do that today. I'm not planning on putting the whole HUD on and everything. I'm just gonna use this HUD. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna exec the Misty observer config. This changes a bunch of binds. It's gonna change a couple things on its own. I believe it gives us a normal crosshair. If I was to turn that setting on, crosshair. If I turn it on to no, it will give us an extremely normal crosshair, so it's not super annoying to look at. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go exec inferno. And the way we know this is working is if I press 7 on my numpad, it's going to give me an overview, a smooth overview of a site. All right. So we'll start observing this pistol round, and a lot of what the beginning of observing is knowing what's going to happen before it actually happens. So we see there's going to be a lot of action up banana, so we want to watch banana. And then where you see that there's a guy rotating into church. So we don't really need to see him doing anything in church. So we're not going to watch him. We can watch is people pushing into church. We can watch the post plant here. Now we want to watch the actual fight into church because we know that's going to happen. Blackbird's the one in the position to do something cool. We want to watch Blackbird. He dies now, but we see Banjo's coming up banana. So Banjo's going to be peeking somewhere. That's where the action's going to be. Which option to show normal crosshair for everyone? Let's pause for a moment. So options to show normal crosshair for everyone. In the settings menu under game, under crosshair, you just click show player crosshairs to no. You should have a backup of your own config at any given moment. So for example, mine's called normal config with a K because I was edgy, which switches back to my own stuff. But if I go exec, Misty observer, exec, Inferno, it's going to give us whatever I need it to do. Or just Crusoe. So, am I looking at the minimap mostly? Yes and no. I spend a lot of time looking at the minimap. Like a lot of time looking at the minimap because the minimap tells you what's happening before you actually know what's happening. So, right, like if I was watching, let's say I was watching myself in this situation at this given moment, right? I'm trying to retake the site and I wasn't going to watch Banjo. If I wasn't looking at the minimap, I don't see that Banjo's about to take the fight against whoever 6 and 9 are. So Anchor and Calf. I don't see that Banjo's about to take this fight or is even in this fight against Anchor and Calf. So we'll continue from here and I'll shout out things as I do them. So I wouldn't have even seen that kill if I wasn't looking at that. So now I'm coming into the site here. This is like number one rule of observing. You're in a 1v1. Anytime you're in a 1vx, you should be watching the 1. It's the number one rule. You don't want to ever miss, let's say, some insane clutch happens. You want to make sure that you are always getting that. You want to make sure you're always getting the cool thing that's happening, right? So in this case, I'm in a 1v2. Even though the two people have really low health and I have high health, it's still less chance I'm going to win this. It's not a huge amount of time left in the round. There's two people against the one person. You want to have the camera on me. So we're basically going to have the camera on me for the rest of the round until I die. No one ever said this was a good demo. We'll start there. So now we're into the buy round. We can go do some cool stuff. We can do some of this in between, right? This is where the casters, we generally talk about the buy and what's coming up, and we switch the camera again. just so we have something different to look at. You're in charge of what people should be looking at. So I'm pulling up the T-spawn camera, the CT spawn camera. So T-spawn. So this will actually give us a nice thing through T-spawn. So we want to start watching things now, right? We see a lot of things going on towards banana, so we want to watch something centered around banana. So Takaso is over here. So now if I press this third person, we see that third person. This is not the third person I want. I actually want a third person around banana, but I don't have one at the moment. It's fine. It's whatever. We're just going to flip between the people that are doing things. So Vinny's coming up brackets right now. We want to be on Vinny. Good thing we're on Vinny. We saw the nice 2K. We see Chris is about to come around the corner here, possibly get shot by Salif. Salif is actually in the corner. That was actually a bad switch for us to do because we didn't see that. I didn't notice Salif was in the corner. Salif grabs a nice 1D, which is nice. Tamashi is rotating around here. Why did they? I want fake names. Cat. So again, we're in a 1v2. We want to be on the 1. It's the number 1 rule. He's saving. Is he saving? No, I actually distinctly remember he did not save here. It's terrible. But we're looking a lot at the mini map, and we're basically going to preempt whatever's going to happen. There's no chance that you ever get every single gunfight ever, and you're going to get the best thing you're going to ever get, right? There's basically no such thing as perfectly observing around. There's a lot of luck involved with it. But what we can see here is Cat has an XM while no one else has bought into the round, and the T's have a lot of guns. We want to focus on the T's this round because they have the guns. They're going to do the cool things that we want to watch, right? The other person we want to watch is Cat because Cat will be doing something interesting as opposed to the rest of the teammates, which aren't really doing much. We also want to know that the bomb is on Bulldog, who's number 7, because the bomb is always the person to watch. Now I'm talking, so I'm not observing great. So Calf grabs the kill. So we want to watch Calf a little bit. See, this kill happened across the map. We can't get every kill, right? Banjo's taking this fight at range. We might want to watch Banjo for a second here. The nade comes through. That's also a thing you can watch is following nades. Daisy's got this weird rap. You want to pop over to Daisy for a minute here to talk about, oh, look at this space that Daisy has. I'm now going to go here because I hear stuff and I know that there's people coming up mid. So now I've grabbed the bomb. You'd switch over to meet the Canary a little bit sooner. Daisy's going to grab a flank here. And Blackbird's left in the 1v2. They've got a shotgun. So you don't... The rule of always be on the 1 in a 1v2 is a little bit different when you know the 1's going to die or something like that, right? So there... It might actually make sense to be following whoever was just there. Now it's a 1v1. We're going to want to watch the person on the site for a minute because it's really boring to watch somebody run up. If you see a flubbed smoke, which is important for casters to call out, Canary's going to peek here and get shot, and then that's going to be it. You don't want to stay on one person for 7,000 years, but you also don't want to give people motion sickness by switching between people every half of a second. It's a fine balance to get, and it's difficult to get. So again, we do something interesting now. Like, I enjoy putting up these like CT spawn and T spawn cameras while people are running out, and then we'll go from this into like that, and then we'll follow Anchor up. The beginning of the rounds are really boring because people... Well, on Inferno, they're less boring because people throw nades and stuff. And you see what the nades do. And then you go like that. So we're on the wrong side of the map now. A lot of the action's happening in Banana. On Inferno, again, this is one of those things you should know map knowledge because it makes your life a hell of a lot easier to know map knowledge. Kills just went through from Blackbird. So we're going to watch Blackbird for a second. Canary grabs something. Bulldog's got an op, which is weird, pushing up Banana. So we're going to watch him to see if he gets anything cool. He does, which is nice. There's no one else here. The last person is behind, so we're going to... This is a weird round. To do those pan cameras, is that just a push of the button on the numpad? Yes. All you do is you literally press it. There's we'll pause for a minute here. Where'd it go? This, on the Reddit post that I've linked... This is what your numpad looks like. So this is going to be numlock down all the way to the tall enter key. These are what each thing is. So it's B, A, T spawn, CT spawn, and then across the side is mid. And each one has 2 different smooths and an overview. The overview one for T spawn and CT spawn is just the spawn itself. TNCT are a little bit weird. A normal thing that I have is I've been observing for probably a year and a half now. I will put this up on the right monitor just so I know 100% what I'm doing. And you can actually there's this whole how to use section and more specifically how to make your own. And you can make your own binds for this and put them in these unused keys or put them on your home enter, page up, page down keys, whatever you want. I actually normally play on a 65% keyboard, so a relatively small keyboard, but I toss a full size keyboard down for this because of the number pad giving me all the pan angles. I could just probably make a new keyboard configuration for that, but that's a lot of work. So bomb's been planted, and we're gonna watch Dalmatian here because he's got the op. He's trying to retake. The onus is on him to do something in the round. We're gonna swap between a little bit because it's really boring to watch just scoping like this for a little bit. We'll probably go to a third person view here. We see the flash come through. We're gonna watch Bulldog. Bulldog hears it now. We'll watch Dalmatian. Dalmatian's gonna run around this corner. Bulldog's gonna run to the side, so we'll watch him for a minute. Onus is now on Dalmatian again. He throws the smoke. Anytime there's a smoke on the bomb like this, you kind of want to you're gonna flip between the two. He's just trying to spam through the smoke, so you don't need to worry too much about that. I believe I didn't have X around the whole time. Whenever you're observing, if you're not the one streaming the game, your life will be made 7,000 times easier by X-Ray. It means you don't need to rely as much on the minimap. You can just look at a player and do it that way. So for example here, I know that I'm going to take this mid duel because I see it on the radar. I die there, and then that's a good opportunity for me to switch over to Banjo, who's going to jump for a second, but that's okay. So they're taking second mid control, alt mid control, whatever you want to call it. Cap's going to throw that smoke. We want to put it onto Cat now because Cat's going to be the next person being tested here. Cap grabs that, which is nice. We're going to maybe think about going to Canary here. I press the wrong button. We'll go to Canary. We'll see that fight. That was a rough fight to watch, but that's okay. Dalmatian's got stuff to do here because they've got Anchor right inside. So Dalmatian's going to grab two, and now we have a little bit of a storyline with Dalmatian. I mean, put Daisy here, who sees them in pit. This is... Wow. Watching this again shows how terrible this gameplay is. Bulldog is going to have Dalmatian there. But again, we're in the 1v2. I'd rather watch the 1. Now this is more so on Dalmatian than anything because even though he's got less health... Oh, he watches the molly here. I remember this. He's an idiot. And generally here, you do something stupid like BM them. Because you can. Do you listen to the casters while observing? Absolutely. Because sometimes the casters will notice something you don't notice. Sometimes they'll be saying something and they'll point out, like a couple rounds ago, how we had that auto shotty. They'll say, oh, can we have an auto shotty cam or something like that? Can we watch the auto shotty? Or this person's going to a weird place with this gun. You want to make sure that you're keeping the observer kind of pushes the pace on what you're talking about at any given moment. But if the casters want to push the pace, they will push the pace and say it, and then you move over to what they're doing. So again, here we have Blackbird super aggressive in. We want to watch him for a second. He goes a nice 1D onto Canary. Now Blackbird's going on to Daisy. Something else we want to watch. Bulldog's trying to do anything against him. Anchor's taking this fight here. The two players are pushing down Banana. This is important because this is another thing that will be happening. So we could have watched either player there. We could have watched Cat. We could have watched Calf. Either one would have worked. We now see that Bomb's in a weird place. We can go to a third person cam here. We can look at Bulldog trying to get a little bit of space. We see that they're rotating. We see me going for a really dumb but genius play knife and going for a terrible spray. But whenever you see stuff like that happening, you want to do it. A lot of this is just feel. Like if I was to just watch around, you'd see if I was to just observe around and not talk while I do it, a lot of it's just knowing what's going to happen and having there be some sort of feel about it. So Dalmatian going for this, that's cool to watch for a minute, but there's going to be a lot of play here because there's SMGs. Now this is because I've watched this already, but I know that we slaughter them here, so it's kind of nice to watch. But if you don't know, you see 5 people rushing a banana, you want to watch banana. That's where the action's happening. As the observer, your job is to always be watching where the action is happening. It's the most important part of your job. And if you're watching somewhere across the map where someone's just holding a random angle, it's really not fun for anyone to watch. The other thing is making sure you know exactly who's who, right? So knowing that Daisy is 0 ahead of time. I know a lot of observers, I know like Prius and Sapphire, at least when they did observe Counter-Strike, would have like a little piece of paper in front of them that said, this is the people. So 1 it will be Simple, 2 will be Zaiwu, that kind of stuff. Ahead of time so they could look down at the list and do that quickly instead of looking at the sides of the screen. Sometimes it's a little easier to do that. Right. So Dalmatian's watching for this push here. There's 2 people pulled up here. So Daisy, watching Daisy then. You can't watch Bulldog there. You don't know if he's going to peek that, right? But the interesting thing here is Cat is pushing down here. And if I could find the number, Daisy's pushing towards a smoke. So Flash going through here. Calf was there. I was a little too late on that. But Blackbird's got a lot to do here because he's the one on the site. Cat's making a weird peek. That's okay. Sure. Blackbird now. Yeah. So that was a really poorly observed round because I was trying to focus on explaining what I was doing. I'm going to observe around while being quiet, and hopefully someone can pick up on something. And then I'll start speaking again. Alright. I don't know if that helped anyone. But when you focus on observing, you're observing a considerable amount better than when you talk while observing at the same time. Talking and observing at the same time is really difficult, and props to anyone who actually has to do that. So, before we go into this round, is there anyone specific that we think that we should be observing before the round even starts? Yeah. So switching off that in the 1v3. So while always be on the 1 in the 1v3 is generally like your hold fast, this is the rule thing. If you know the guy is going to die, then you want to worry about the guy that's going to kill him. His cat's aggressively going B. That's something to watch. Yep. Generally watching Deagles or something like that, also a good thing. But cat is aggressively going B. That's something interesting to watch. Second place, the AK on CT. AK on CT. There is no AK on CT. It's an AUG. It's a Krieg. AK on T. Yeah, we can watch the AK on T. Yeah, that either of the above works. We're starting on CT side. I'm gonna just. Oh, that's cool. That's super buggy. Okay. So I'm going aggressive here. We actually want to watch Banjo here, because for some reason he's the one in the front. But normally, yes, you'd watch Cat. Cat would be the first player. But there's that Deagle, because Deagles are weird and do weird things. The Scout's the only one alive here, and there's still fighting going on, so watching the Scout. this point, switching to Canary. Because Canary's doing stuff, right? Daisy's in the 1v4, right? But he hears Blackbird and me, and if I wasn't there, it would have been a great kill to get onto Blackbird, right? It would have been action scene happening. So the whole point of the job is to see action. Exactly. Deagle Peak's important. So here, there is an AK on CT. There's also an AWP on T. The AWP on Inferno, the AWP on T will get the pick before the AWP on CT, specifically Banana in mid. So you want to watch that. Sometimes they'll get out AWP'd on Banana. You also want to watch that. There's a smoke here being spammed, so we do that for a little bit. Spam over to here for Bulldog to grab that. Now they have a free B site, so we want to watch them clear the site and pull on. Smoke. Wow, that's a terrible smoke. Watch the smokes out. Right now, Dalmatian's going to be the first one rotating because we don't know whether the site's clean or not. So watching Dalmatian for a minute. And now we watch the 1 in the 1v3. For a moment, we're going to watch the bomb come up. Smoke there. Right. Watch the bomb get planted. Watch the person in the 1v3 and try and do anything. We think the 1v3 might get killed here by Bulldog. Watch that for a minute. Daisy might be in trouble. Watch that for a second. And then I walk through smoke and get died. And then we make fun of me. It's super simple. So Banjo doesn't have a B spawn. That doesn't mean he won't be going B. But from like knowing previously, Banjo and Cat are the two people going B. So 2 ops going B. I don't know why we bought 3 ops in this round. I don't know why there are 2 ops on the other team. There's many questions involved here. But Anchor's going for this pick, and he's going to be here first. So watching the Anchor pick here, trying to do anything. No, can't do anything. We can flip over to Cat now for a minute. Sometimes you want to switch to the other person when a molly comes through because you want to see what it looks like from their direction and what kind of knowledge they can get. Nothing's really going on elsewhere on the map, so we don't need to really worry about it. I flipped to the wrong person there. Right, there's no the T's aren't taking much aggression in top mid or any into alt mid. There's just a little bit of apps priority. Dalmatian's gonna get shot on the side here. Now I'm in a weird place, trying to do anything. I remember this round. I absolutely whiffed all the sprays. They rotate. I call that out. If I can find the right buttons, be really cool. So now we definitely want to watch Canary and Daisy because they are, first of all, in the disadvantage, and second of all, they're doing a weird thing. They're rapping. Cat giving away his position is kind of big. We can watch Daisy here, hopefully grab a kill onto one of them, grab a kill onto none of them. And we know the bomb's going to go down. The bomb should have gone down there. We know the bomb should have gone down there. So we watch Canary to have the bomb go down there. And again, as I said before, a lot of the stuff is like very cerebral. Like you just kind of need to know things, because it just starts and you don't. It's kind of becomes second nature. Also to follow a nade, it's hold shift. Let's see if I can find a player about to throw a nade. I literally just went away from a player about to throw a nade. Mine is it's a button that you can bind. Mine's left shift. I think everyone else uses left alt. I think I'm a weird person. Open B site. We want to watch that. Want to watch what the CTs are doing. They're rotating. So Canary, it's again, onus is on Canary to do something here. The CTs aren't going to do anything on their own. Well, if they were good, they wouldn't do anything on their own. So now Canary's going to go watch something. Dalmatian might have first peek here. Pulling back, so now it's definitely on Canary. And most of the time there, the person coming through would get the kill. I whiffed, and I'm terrible. So it's a weird place to sit. So that's again one of those times where you make a judgment call on like how you want to watch and observe the round. So there's a Nova. So we watch the Nova. At least to start, because the Nova going somewhere is kind of interesting. And they're spreading a lot out towards alt mid. There's a scout here. Cat's just a monster right here. There's something happening here. Please tell me I throw a nade just so I can show what following a nade looks like. Oh, I definitely do. Definitely don't. Definitely a worse player. Any nades? So these cams you want to do when they're going to a certain place. Right, so this is really nice if they're going up alt mid, so let's see where the T's go. They're going to go this way, so this camera is really nice to watch the T's go in that direction. And then you flip to somebody who's existent there. Cat's been doing really well here, so we flip to Cat for a minute. It's a weird round. Weird rounds are always difficult to observe. If you want to try and start observing, I suggest watching weird rounds because you'll start thinking that things are going one way and then everything will go another way, and that's the easiest way to learn. Is that like sometimes things are not as they seem, and it's difficult to start thinking like that because you think you know how a round's going to play out, and then you don't. Um, I remember this too. So I jumped through this, so watching the other people would be fine generally if, they ever thought about, trying to shoot me. But it's 2-on-3, bomb's going down, we watch the bomb for a minute. I'm going to start watching Calf here to watch for him trying to get any information in the post plant, watching Banjo to see where he goes in the after plant. Dalmatians in a firefight, we want to watch that. We want to watch Canary here. Now we're on to Daisy, onto the Dalmatian, because Dalmatian's probably not going to win a 1v3, 1v4, so you can watch him. You can also use arrow keys, by the way, to move between people. I would never do that, but it's a thing if you want to do. So apparently they count banana as mid. on this map, at least part of it, which makes sense. And so outside, top on mid, banana. So again, here we're looking for any action coming early. There's a lot of action right here. Canary's in for it. I had my finger on the wrong key. That's like another thing about observing is trying to keep all of your fingers on the right keys at any given moment. And knowing what each key does, right? If you take your hands off and only have like 3 fingers on, then you're gonna have a terrible time when you need to get to a person that's not one of those 3 fingers. Damage with 1 HP. That's probably one of those nades that you can follow right there because you know it's gonna do a bunch of damage. Because you see like in the direction he's throwing it, that's a good time to do it. It's also super your decision whether you actually want to ever observe a nade thrown or not. It depends. Oh, we decided to play tic-tac-toe this round. Remember this. So this is when you as an observer want to do this kind of stuff of just like watching random shit happening. Like obviously it was not the ultimate thing to watch there because other things happened and those other things were more important than watching that. Sometime in there I pressed V. But like still watching weird stuff happening is always fun. And in like this kind of round where you hope that the T's win, they have a bye, the CTs don't. That you want to let the audience have some fun, want to have like something to do, right? So watching tic tac toe sometimes is something interesting to do. So I have an op here against not much else. So watching the op go for the first pick is really nice on Inferno, especially on T side, because the op getting the first pick is normally a lot to the round. The same 3 pieces of utility are going to happen every single other time, so you don't really care about the utility. This person pushing up quick is important and cool to watch. That op shot in mid was super late, so it's not that odd to not watch that. This person aggressing in apps, though, is kind of weird. Cat being the entry, you're almost always going to be wanting to watch the entry to start, at least. They're the first person to come in. They're the first person to get the kill. You can see how blocked out they are from the site here. You can see that Dalmatian might have had like sight of this, so you can pop out and watch Dalmatian for a minute here. Who just smoked himself out of the round because top tier throw. Calf is saving, so you don't really care about Calf at any point in this. Dalmatian's going to be the first one to theoretically see this person, but also not at all. And then it's just on Calf who's saving, and we know Calf is saving, so we can do cool things over the A site. We can do those cameras over banana and stuff like that. We can do cameras there and that kind of stuff because we're kind of just waiting at this point. Exactly. Watch the bomb explode in cool cinematic glory. So again, we're same kind of thing. Every round starts the same. You want to watch for the person who's being aggressive. You want to watch for whoever's getting the most amount of space first. You want to watch your oppers, your entry fraggers. Daisy here is stuck in a really weird corner. You want to watch Daisy. You want to watch Calf, who just got the 1 kill there and who has the bomb now. Cat's in a weird place. He's jumping around things. Watching Cat. Watching Canary now, who is the one who traded that. Oh my god. This is really a silver game, you can tell. So again, now it's a 2v2. There's an op on one side to try and retake something. Calf is half watching the bomb. Bulldog's half watching the bomb, but that's the first person dead watching the bomb. Now Calf is going to pull back into a weird position. Not that weird. Why did I go for that? Why did I almost hit that? Calf's not in a weird position, but he's in enough of an off angle to try and dissuade people from going into this. You don't need to watch him constantly. You can watch the person peeking around here. Thought the chicken was a person. We don't need to worry about me whiffing every shot ever. Minor, don't worry about it. But there's more of a buy now on the CT side. There's a buy on the T side. Bulldog is going to be the one with the op, and he looks like he's going towards mid, so we can watch for the mid peak here. Dalmatian should drop over to... Dalmatian won't drop over because silver. To Blackbird. So we'll have most of a buy here, but we can watch this opening peak happen. That's BS, whatever. Watch a little bit of the aggression there. So now we'll go over to... Banjo's got the bomb. We can watch a little bit of Banjo looking up here. The rest of the team's all pushing up. Flash goes over. Person through the flash, we can watch a little bit. Flash misses, so we know they're not in a great place to watch anything. Next person up is Daisy. Daisy gets pulled out. We can watch Banjo there. Banjo got spotted beforehand, so it's a little bit awkward to watch, but I get killed by Daisy here. I know this for a fact. So now again, we want to be watching the CTs there, the people we're taking. Onus is now on them to do something into the round. Cat's sitting here with a Zeus. So again, that's the time where you actually do want to watch the 1 in a 1vx. When the 1 does something. Most of the time you do want to watch the 1, but sometimes you can get away with it and make it look really nice by not watching the 1. Again, super dependent on any given moment at that time. Right, cinematic shots in between stuff make it fun to look at it. Watching a boost like that is just not very fun, entertaining, or anything like that. Watching aggression, watching your first kills, that's where it's going to be entertaining and And now we're going to definitely watch the 1 and the 1vx because he's got a scout and he's got the bomb. The bomb's a really important thing to watch because, well, it's the bomb. It's how T's win the round. If you're in 1v4 and all 4 CTs run to the other site and you have the bomb, well, it doesn't really matter because if you can get the plant, you can play the round down. He's got no money, but it's a scout and it's multi-loss bonus on this T's anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. First fight's going to be on to Calf. They know where he is now, so he's going to have to reposition. You can watch the reposition. Bulldog should have heard that. Should have heard that again, and you watch it. I accidentally pressed the button to go away, which, again, happens every once in a while. It's not the worst thing in the world. No one's perfect. You want to make sure you don't show that. because that's terrifying. Um, Again, the best person to watch on the T side, at least at the start, is going to be your entry. It's going to be the first person going in, or the first CT that's going to take contact. I ran through this. My team said no. Bad teammates. See Blackbird's kind of super in. He's like fully wrapped. So a lot of what observing is going to be, at least starting out, is knowing what your cameras are, knowing how the cameras work in any given point, right? That stuff is super important. So for example here, right, Bulldog's gonna go and peek mid. So watching the mid peak, one thing to do. We also see that the T's are pushing really hard into apps. So watching Calf here is gonna be nice because Calf should get Banjo. Calf doesn't get Banjo, which again is like how you don't think things are gonna happen. That's why not every round is possible to observe perfectly, because things don't happen as they should. Right, so now we can switch over to Cat, who's planting, or to Banjo, or most likely to Blackbird, because Blackbird was just in that fight. Canary's got someone there. I'm gonna kill Canary here, I hope. Thank you, me. Now it's left on to Bulldog, and we can flick over to here. You hear the scope, and you hear the person running. Pre-fire. And Glock. Now, I have an advantage in this over everyone else because I've seen this game. I've played this game. Like, quite literally, I was part of this game, obviously. Which in itself is an advantage because sometimes I'll remember what's going to happen and stuff, so I can observe that exactly as I want it to happen. You obviously are observing live. You don't have the knowledge of knowing what's going to happen ahead of time. So not every single thing can be perfect. And that's like the biggest point to stress, is that there's no point in which there's every single piece of observing is going to be perfect. It's not possible. Trying to get it so that way it's watchable, so that way it's good, so that way other people can enjoy it and the casters aren't absolutely hating you. Those are important pieces. Wow. That was... You know what? Silver. Yeah, that's gonna be my answer to this. The fight can happen here. You want to watch a little bit of this. You want to watch a little bit of Bulldog over here. I think there was a decision to wrap here. So maybe we watch Daisy, because Daisy's gonna hear the rap first. And then we know the other two people on the other site, so we're gonna watch just the C's getting into positions that they can hold. CTs are in a place where they can do something now. Watching me whiff every shot, not even kind. Super nice. I'm gonna whiff the shot here. Oh, I whiffed the shot before. I'm gonna whiff that. But watching somebody try making a cool play is also, again, an important part of observing. You want to make sure you're watching action. That's the whole point of the job, is making sure that you are the person who is watching action at any given moment. That might have been the slowest reaction time I've ever seen. Six is the only one that was really part of the round right there, so you want to make sure you're watching them, and then make sure you're watching the person who's trying to hold the site. Press the wrong button again, so this is my warm-up observing game. So now it's a one-on-one. And watch this person because they're looking for the slow peek here, right? They should have heard that scope. They're kind of throwing. And again, these cameras are not the end-all be-all thing. They're nice to throw in between stuff. They're really nice to throw in during technical pauses and stuff. You can just string one into the other. And it looks professional quickly. Having an observer config is kind of important in my opinion. That was the call of there's only there's 2A, so we don't need to worry about anything. So now we can watch as the first player starts to move up. Bulldog is still on the other side, so the only important player right now is Cap, who's starting to try and retake the site. Now Bulldog is coming around, so we care about Bulldog. Blackbird is trying to get information. We care about Blackbird. Still care about Calf. I just saw Calf, so we care about watching this for a second, making sure that this kill comes through. Blackbird grabs the first. I grab the last, and then that's the game. And then leave it on this screen for a second, and then you switch away from the screen. You don't really even need to see these parts, but you can commend people after the... I didn't know that was a thing. So a lot of what this is just intuition and knowing what to do after a certain point. It's kind of weird. I'm a genius and switched away from the thing with my mic. So it becomes a point where you do it based on just based on feel and knowing kind of what's going to happen, and not really on like overthinking every single piece. It comes... I switched to the wrong thing. It comes a lot more onto like thinking you know what's going to happen, and then having that thing actually happen. A super convenient weird thing, but I don't know. It's kind of weird to observe for the first couple times because you think you're going to do terribly and you think you're going to miss every single piece, and you may or may not. You might get every single part you need to get, and it'll just be weird the first time because you're like, wait, I got every part I needed to get? And the answer is yes, you might have actually gotten every part you needed to get. So that's my quick thing on observing. I hope that helped at least one person. Um, That's all. Thank you all for watching. And now I stop streaming and awkwardly end this.